What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo. Tonight, we've got a full docket. We've got Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, 3 episodes that dropped last week, Wednesday. We've got Invincible Episode 4, and we got Captain America Brave New World. So we are not going to dilly-dally. Okay, we're going to probably dilly-dally a little bit tonight. But before we get into all of that fun, Dave, comma Doug, how's it going, gentlemen?
Well, Keith, I tell you, I am outstanding. I'm stealing Doug's.
He's going to have to steal yours now.
Nope. I am fan-freaking-tastic. We saw a movie on Thursday, and, well, it was good. It was better than expected, and from what I see, it might even do $100 million this weekend. So
nice.
That's good. And we're talking about Invincible, but to me, it might as well be called Invisible because I didn't see it. No, I was just joking. I just wanted to make a joke, though. I thought about that all day. I was like, Keith's going to know what I'm going to say before I say it. But no, I saw it.
I thought you were going to make some joke like we have to call it Alan the Alien Show or something.
Right. Well, I mean, it did kind of.
It was the best part of the show. But before we get into all that, Doug, how are you doing? Are you fan-freaking...
Well, Dave, let me tell you, I am tremendous.
Okay, hold on.
Oh. Keith is gonna... Oh, don't come after me.
I just got to remember what I'm supposed to say now.
I'm okie dokie there. No, I'm doing pretty darn good. Now, Keith, we have a lot to talk about, so if you could just switch it over to tangent time real quick. I just kind of want to... I've been really wanting to talk about the deep lore and history of Sonic the Hedgehog for the next 3 hours. No, we don't have time for that? Oh.
Oh, we're in tangent time, so...
No, I'm playing. We do have a lot to talk about, and I actually can't wait to because... It was it was a pretty darn good week for some good TV and a good movie. So without further ado, Keith, sir, how are you?
I am outstandingly tremendous fan-freaking-tastic. That's what I am.
Covering all the bases.
Perfectly balanced as all things should be.
You know, that's how we roll around here. We like to keep things fresh and exciting and awesome. And, that's what we do here. So we do have a lot to talk about. We didn't stream on Thursday because we were at the premiere, the Thursday night pre-screenings of Captain America Brave New World. And we had 3 episodes of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. We had Invincible. What should we talk about first, gentlemen? Any?
Well, first, Keith, did you just say that we were at the theater Thursday?
We were for our At the Theater spoiler-free review.
Oh, man, it sure would have been cool if we would have recorded that, and if there was some way that people could maybe watch that recording.
Oh, yeah. We put a link to our YouTube channel in the chat. They can go to that, check out what our initial reactions are while still at the theater for this. And it is spoiler-free, so you don't have to worry about us ruining anything.
Until tonight.
Until tonight, right.
Yes.
Well, Dave, what are you in the mood for? Invincible, or are you in the mood for some Spider-Man?
If it were up to me, I would go in the order that I saw them.
Okay.
So I would do Captain America first, then Spider-Man, then Invincible.
Well, Keith, what do you got queued up first?
I just queued up Captain America Brave New World.
Beautiful.
All right.
I'm down to clown.
Let's talk Captain America Brave New World. I don't know if you guys' opinions have changed. I still think it was a good movie. I still think it could have been better. And I have thoughts on how I think it could have been better.
Okay.
Because
I agree.
Back to the editing room kind of thought?
Kind of. Because while the plot was fine, it was simple, it was clean, blah, blah, just a little underdone. What if the leader was trying to do something like Weapon H? Are you guys familiar with Weapon H from Marvel Comics? He is...
Well, I mean, obviously I am, but maybe some of our audience members out there
True.
don't know what it is. So
So, Weapon H is Clayton Cortez. He was first. He was in the Totally Awesome Hulk. I don't remember, 21 maybe. Weapons of Mutant Destruction. He was a mercenary who was transformed by the Weapon X project, gaining the powers of the Hulk, Wolverine, Sabretooth, and Domino. He had adamantium bones and claws. And he's basically a huge powerhouse. Now, with the leader trying to get the adamantium at the beginning from the Japanese, and obviously being able to turn people into Hulks like we saw him do, it probably would have been a little better, more leader-like, to be not just trying to humiliate Thunderbolt Ross, but also trying to create this, weapon, this Weapon H, as he's called in the comics, because he would have had the adamantium, he would have had the knowledge to create Hulks. The more I thought about it, I'm like, man, they could have made this movie so much better if they just added a little bit to the plot like that.
So, Keith, they already made that movie. Did you not see X-Men Origins Wolverine? Because that was basically their Deadpool.
Yeah, I wanted them to do it right.
You wanted them to do it right.
and maybe that's why they didn't do it in this. I don't know, but I mean,
that would be my guess.
Because the leader is this super now, and I've went back and forth on this.
Investigation had a similar situation.
Yes, it did.
That I didn't see that yet, so don't spoil it for me.
Okay, yeah. Is it really?
Maybe they didn't go that route because of Wolverine Origins, but I think they just could have umped the plot up a little bit more. And I don't know if it's something like they're trying to say, oh, the leader's still learning. Like we didn't see him with his giant, super giant head. He just kind of had the brain popping out of his skull, and maybe. I hinted at it a little bit on our spoiler-free review that maybe he's building up to being the leader we know. Like this is, his plot he had going to embarrass Ross and turn him into the whole Hulk and everything. But I just think they could have added a few more elements to make him seem like he is this supreme intelligence, this master planner, this being able to work with probabilities, all this stuff.
Now, that idea, Keith, I really like, because it was a little unusual. Marvel, in most of their movies, they're really quick to get rid of the bad guy. Very rarely do we get to see a bad guy stay alive, save for Baron Zemo. I think that might have been the only one. I don't know if you'd really count Namor, because he kind of goes back and forth. But yeah, the leader's probably one of the few bad guys that is still alive at the end of this movie. So it'd be great to see that, find out that this is just his beginning. This is, his trial and error. He's still figuring things out. He's going to become a force to be reckoned with. And also, I'd love to know more about what he was, I guess, essentially prophesying about, basically saying, this is what's going to come. I did all this for a reason.
Are you talking about that wonderful post-credit scene?
I am.
It would seem that he needed a multi-movie arc. Yeah, and he's had one. He's already been in two of them. I like how he mentioned in the movie that he had been in jail for 16 years. He didn't say, because it has been 16 years since that Hulk movie. Now, but he didn't say anything about being snapped away. So it was he was lucky enough to be able to stay wherever he was locked down for that whole time.
That leads to a good question. If you had a 20-year prison sentence and you were snapped away for 5 years, do you only serve 15 years?
I don't know, because it's not like they gave, Peter and his friends a break. They still had to continue school with where they left off.
Well, because they hadn't completed those levels, but...
Well, he hasn't completed his prison.
Well, but they say, okay, you're locked up for 20 years. You get out in 2020 or whatever. If you're gone for 5 of those years, do you still get out in 2020? Or
I'm betting they probably tack it on.
Yeah, they probably do.
But I've noticed something now that you bring that up. They don't seem to be mentioning a lot of the Infinity War related things as much anymore. I don't hear mention about the snap as much anymore, or people who were gone during that. And I think it might be part of their way of moving past that saga to kind of move into the next stuff. Like, okay, yeah, that happened. It was important to the story at the time, but we're good. We move past it.
It has been 6 years since Endgame. So, and, you know, there's been a lot of duds. So, yeah, they might want to leave that behind. They want to address it because that was their biggest moment, but, you know.
Yeah, but I guess the repercussions just aren't as fun.
Yeah.
Then they got a thing like, okay, bringing everybody back was cool, but
we opened a multiverse.
Then we got to talk about, like, I don't know, what about planes that, you know, the people that were in planes in the sky? What happened to that?
People who were in prison, they come back into their cell and there's someone else in there.
Oh, food's better here.
I don't care about my wife and daughter being permanently gone. I'm wondering about the food.
And I want to get that Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah, the guy I've never heard of. Yeah, let's do it.
But no, I agree with you. I think that more could have been done, but at the same time, I have to wonder, what more did we miss? What ended up on the cutting room floor? What did they edit out because maybe it was dragging the movie down? Maybe it felt too long? Because to me, even though it was, what, a 2.5-hour movie?
It was only like an hour and 58 minutes, I believe.
It felt short. It felt very short. Like, it started and was over, and I'm like, oh, already? Okay.
I think that had to do with, like, the amount of times they spent on each scene. Like, they seemed to rush through the scenes to me. Like, before we could even understand what was going on, Isaiah Bradley is being framed. And not only that, he's the one making the shot. Just in the previous conversation with Harrison Ford and Anthony Mackie, I'll go by their character names now. Ross and Captain America, where he says, put the Avengers back together. Now, 5 minutes later, even though this happened, he's like, oh, well, that's off the table. And I was like, a little frustrated about that. I was like, what? Why? Why did that?
You know what that does really show, though? When he said, because when he told Sam, you know, when he's like, what happens when we disagree about how a situation should be handled? We'll deal with that at the time. It showed Sam, I think, you can't work with this man. Now, he doesn't have to, of course, because Rolk's in jail. But it showed that he was just going to want to exert his own opinions onto Sam and want him to do what he wanted. So it is good that Ross won't be in control of the Avengers anytime soon because, well, we know it. He's in jail. That's a question, Doug, too. I didn't. You say, villains don't usually live, and that's true. We basically got 2 villains that lived in this. We got Red Hulk and we got the leader still both in the raft at this point. Do you think that could be the leader's plan? To get into the raft? Because I still remember one of my favorite scenes from the first Avengers movie. I loved when Sam Jackson was like, why does Loki seem like the only one that wants to be here?
That's a good point. Because he wanted to be caught.
Yep.
You think it'd be a little more obvious if it was? With, let's just say, like, on par with the rest of the writing of the movie. You think they were that clever to make it that subtle?
No, but I think the next writers who take over the leader's story could have it be that way.
I'd like to think at least 1 or 2 of the writers that were part of the team that made this movie may have thought about that or considered it.
And remember, part of the movie that supposedly got cut was the Serpent Society. Diamondback was supposed to be in this, and a couple others. And I wonder if, which I don't know why they cut it out, maybe they're going to, can't think of his name, but Sidewinder. We stand him. Why can't I think of his name?
Oh, Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah, Giancarlo Esposito. He said that his character is going to have a show after this movie and stuff. And it would be nice seeing him put together, start getting equipment and putting together the Serpent Society instead of just being called Serpent. and kind of being like a mercenary. It would be nice to see the whole Serpent Society being put together, and
Yeah.
I thought they could have done it in this movie. They could have characters that they don't have full introductions to, and just have them in, and then they could flesh out their history in another movie, or spend a little more time. This is only 2 hours. They could have spent 20-25 minutes building up the Serpent Society, having them be a threat. If we would have seen Cap fighting the actual Serpent Society, like maybe Diamondback and Anaconda and Sidewinder in that first scene, that would have been fantastic. I think that would have upped the movie a little bit too. I'm not sure why it got cut, but it seems to me like they missed on that.
I think I might have potential answer for you. And I think it's because of the thing that Sam kept mentioning throughout the movie, where he kept saying, I should have took the serum. I should have took the serum. I think starting off the movie with him fighting 3 dudes, then having him struggle to fight 1 dude while saying, I wish I should have taken the serum, it may have made the flow seem a little weird, It
That
would have
one
been really
dude
cool.
was
It would have been great.
One dude was a Hulk too, though.
No, I'm talking about when he fought Sidewinder by himself.
Oh yeah.
He made the same complaint. So
That's right.
That would be my assumption. I don't know how true it was. It's not like I'm part of the the writing and everything, but
And they could have taken that line out.
I am the buzzkill here, so
Yeah. Well, they could have easily taken that line out, and they could have easily.
Yes.
If you keep the Serpent Society in, maybe he fights Diamondback, Sidewinder, Anaconda, and then he fights a couple of the other Serpent Society. So you'd have like 6 characters introduced in 2 different fights.
I've been wondering, what things did they? Because we know they did reshoots too. We know that they cut some things, but what did they put in? I wonder.
It's a good question.
Because, like I said, my biggest takeaway was it felt very similar to what you said. It felt underdone. It felt short. Like they were really rushing to get to the end. I don't know if they thought the audience was just going to have too short of an attention span or what.
Yeah, Doug, I agree. They cut right through each scene very quickly. And there was a couple of times I think I looked over at you and I said, what? Why did it go that fast? Why did they move to this so fast? And I did mention something in our spoiler-free review, and there was a couple of characters in there that I thought didn't add anything to the plot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like that. Well, at least his head of security that he called over there, and he made a big deal of making her a badass. I'm like, okay, cool, she's gonna do something. And the rest of the movie, she pretty much just hung out with Captain America. She didn't really have any big point. So I didn't understand why that was in there.
She was almost, saying she was like a Black Widow. She was almost like having the Black Widow in Winter Soldier. Like they felt like they needed that thing. But she wasn't. No, I agree. But it's like they felt like they needed that parallel to the Winter Soldier or something. So,
You know what I think would have been better? Rather than sidelining Elijah Bradley, I think it would have been better if him and the new Captain America would have teamed up. Yeah. I think that would have been even better, because I think it would have shown every time that Sam is saying, I wish I would have taken the serum, we could show him being heroic, doing things that maybe Elijah couldn't do, or maybe he's helping him out and he's realizing, actually, I am enough by myself. I mean, it's great seeing the new Falcon, but we can see that in another show or in the Avengers or something. I think a better team up would have been with him, with Elijah, rather than, okay, we're going to have him. It's like, oh, cool, we're going to see the OG Captain America. Oh, he tossed a punching bag. That's so cool. Okay, put him in jail for the rest of the movie.
Right.
Oh.
No, that's a good point. He could have seen the super soldier serum working out, because they could have even used Bucky if they kept Isaiah in prison. I mean, Carl Lumbly's not a young
Bucky's
man.
apparently running for something now, I guess.
Yes, it looks like he's running for the House of Representatives or something.
Yeah, what were you saying, Dave? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say that the guy in the military who we thought maybe his first name was Phil Dunphy.
Oh.
It's Dennis.
Yes, it is. I realized that. It was so funny because we talked about that. But yeah, D-Man Demolition Man from the comics was Dennis Dunphy.
No
And
kidding.
I can't believe I didn't catch that. It didn't register because I was thinking too much of, Samuel Stearns from the Ang Lee movie and being Phil Dunphy from Modern Family. But yeah, I mean, D-Man, he was like Captain America's sidekick for a few issues. He was like a wrestler. The Power Broker gave him super strength, and he had like a weird Wolverine Daredevil type costume. And yeah, I'm glad they didn't give him his superpowers in this and have him in his costume. Look up Marvel Comics Demolition Man, and you'll see why it was better they didn't have him in it. But yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Dave, because I was laughing. I realized that, like, after the movie, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, was that D-Man? And I looked it up. Dennis Dunphy. Yep.
No
Well,
kidding.
and Phil Dunphy played Betty Ross's husband in the Ed Norton movie.
Oh, was that who he played?
Yeah.
I knew he was in one of them.
Ed Norton came back and he wanted to, and he saw her, and then he was out on the porch talking to Thunderbolt Ross because she had left with him, and he was like, "I hope you don't find her." Remember that?
That's right. That's right.
Yep. Doc Samson is who he played.
Yep. Who becomes a superhero in the comics also.
Okay.
I mean, if you're a character, you eventually become a superhero.
That's true.
right?
That's
Pretty
true.
much, yeah.
And just so you know, the head of security, she was supposed to be Sabra, an Israeli superhero. But because of all the things going on with Israel and Palestine and the Gaza Strip, they changed her character for this movie.
Well, they doled her down.
Yes. And it showed.
Oh, that's why. It did show. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It
So I
seemed
wonder
like
if those are some of the cuts
consequential.
then.
That sucks.
I imagine in the original cut of the movie, they might have had her in costume
They
at
did.
some point. Yeah, okay, I can see how that might not have gone over very well.
Yeah, I get why they changed it, but they really didn't do that character a service. They could have done a little better job with the rewrites.
I mean,
Yeah.
there was that one scene where she thought Bucky was hot, so that's character growth right there.
Yeah. She's showing some serious depth right there, man.
I mean, that's basically a well-rounded female character. Bechdel test passed.
She did not care that he was 105 years old.
Right. That's
She's a
right.
big fan of The Hobbit. She knew he had a first edition.
God.
So this is the movie that leads Bucky into Thunderbolts asterisk. So is he going to start off as a congressman?
Yeah.
But he's going to lose his election, and then he's going to claim that he actually won.
And then he goes on a
That's how the
rampage.
get together.
And then him and the Thunderbolts are going to storm the... Wait, hold on. That's the plot of the movie. They're gonna get Bucky his rightful place in office.
And as much as I enjoyed the banter between like the new Falcon and Captain America, it would have been nice to have Bucky be his buddy in this movie. Because they did a good job in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. They had a good rapport.
They were fantastic in that movie. I love the way they played off each other.
Yeah, and I think it would have been better off here. I
That's a
agree.
medium show.
I don't mind them bringing in Joaquin Torres as the Falcon at some point, but you
yeah.
didn't have to rush him either.
I was thinking as we first sat down to the movie, one of my initial thoughts was, oh, so the way they're going about this, you don't have to have seen any of the Disney Plus shows. Like, it's not going to matter to this. And I guess technically that's true. I suppose you didn't really need to see Falcon and the Winter Soldier to, you could easily put the end of Endgame and then this movie, and you'd be like, oh yeah, sure, okay, he got the shield, and now he's the new Captain America. Great. I guess the only thing that you'd have to have seen the show for is the new Falcon.
And,
But
how they
otherwise-
introduced him, he's just a army guy who has some wings. I mean,
That's right. Yeah, wasn't he like only in the first episode too?
first and
He
second,
was
I
the guy.
think.
He was the Ned. He was the guy at the desk.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So he pretty much stayed doing the same thing.
Yeah, and all of a sudden he can fly without issue. He's just flying just as well as Anthony Mackie, right there. Sam
Oh
Wilson.
yeah, no training needed. He was
Well,
good.
he did get injured. I mean, he did. I did like the fact that
Okay,
he
yeah, fair.
did take a shot and was in intensive care and all that other stuff, and we did see Sam coming to visit him, like, hey, you should have done this instead. And
By the way, missed opportunity for Sam to say, "I told you not to die."
oh, that's right. Oh my God, he should have done it.
Oh my God, hire me as a writer, I swear.
We need somebody to write one-word quips.
Right,
Who would
exactly.
forget?
I can come up with the one-word jokes. That's all I'm good for. But
He's got the zingers, folks. We got to get him in here.
Oh, and one of the
I
other
can help your
things that
continuity.
one of the other things that supposedly got cut out, we talked about the totally awesome Hulk, who was Amadeus Cho in the comics, who we've seen in Your Friendly
Okay.
Neighborhood Spider-Man. But supposedly the person that Dennis Dunphy took those pills to was Amadeus Cho before they cut the scenes. Which, him touching gamma radiated pills would be maybe a good way to bring about the totally awesome Hulk and have him come in. And maybe they're going to handle that another way. And I do hope at some point we do get a leader storyline where it is like World War Hulks, where, I mean, the Abomination, the Hulk, She-Hulk, Red Hulk, all of them are just like rampaging and stuff and seeing how that all goes down. And Betty becomes the Red She-Hulk, and it's crazy. They don't got to do it exactly, but it'd be nice to see that come about at some point. And having introduced him, Amadeus Cho, in this movie would have been a nice way to handle it. He didn't have to, turn into the Hulk in this movie, but seeing that he's a, genius level intellect and helping out with the military and handling gamma radiation at one point would have, been a nice little storyline to jump on later with him, turning into a Hulk.
By the way, I didn't realize that you could store gamma radiation in heart pills.
Doug?
What always drives me nuts is when people take pills and pills like that, and they don't have water. That drives me nuts. They just and who does that? Do you ever do that with a pill, or do you just you
No.
always got?
In fact, actually, I'm backwards. I'll take a drink of something first, kind of hold it in my mouth, and then I'll toss the pill in.
Well, hey, that works better than dry.
I will take pills dry sometimes.
It's because
You're not human, okay? You don't count.
Some sort of weirdo, man.
That has been well documented on this channel.
I mean, you just did have eye surgery. You probably didn't realize, the bottle says take with water, and you're like, nah, I don't even know what that says.
Well, I have eye
Right.
drops, so I don't usually take those with water. Just put a little water in my eye.
But that's not a pill.
Exactly. I didn't get. Oh, you're talking prior to the surgery. If I had to take a pill, I get it now.
Yes.
I thought you meant the pills I got from the eye surgery. I couldn't read that. I get it now.
Oh,
I'm slow.
it's all right. Well, we waited for you. You got here.
I mean, I don't really know what else to say about this movie. It was good.
Well, I will say that my rating still stands. I don't feel the need to change it. I will still watch this again. It's not one of those where I would ignore it. It's definitely something that, if I'm bored one night scrolling through Disney Plus, I'll probably be like, oh yeah, sure, I'll watch that again. It was fun enough. My dad really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah, I won't change my rating either. I'm still gonna stick with that 6.
Yep.
Solid 6. I wish I could dive more deeply into the plot, but it seemed like they didn't want to do that. They didn't want to dive deeply into the plot. I mean, and at some point I thought, like, wow, I think the talking is just something to do in between. They probably had the action scenes planned out before they had the plot planned out. They wanted to be able to do this in this movie, and how are we going to set that up? That's what it felt like at times to me. So that's why I didn't get any higher than a 6.
And the one thing too I forgot to bring in, that Sidewinder, the second Sidewinder Sam fight, didn't that give you shades of Winter Soldier when Bucky shows up against Samuel L. Jackson? I'm sorry, against Nicholas Fury. I was like, okay, this is too. So he all of a sudden just shows up, and I'm like, once again, they're trying to parallel Winter Soldier. Make your own movie. We all love Winter Soldier. Don't get me wrong. It would have been better off trying to do their own things. But like you guys, my rating stands. It's above average, just a little bit. I'll definitely watch it again. There are some really good action scenes. Like we said, Harrison Ford is great. It was funny. My nephew saw it. He said he gave it a 5. He goes, maybe a 6 with how good the action scenes were. But his one takeaway was Harrison Ford was so good in it. He actually, Doug really was spot on when he said at the theater, he didn't phone this one in. He wasn't just, it didn't seem like he was just doing it for the paycheck, which he probably was. But at least he, made an effort to really act. And I mean, him transforming and stuff was really good.
Yeah, it seemed like that what they really wanted you to think was like, hey, this is another spy movie where, it's got a lot of intrigue. And at the surface, it might seem like that, but it really wasn't deep enough.
See, that's what I thought they were going to go for at first, but like I said at the theater review, any sort of mystery that would have, needed to, like your Bourne Identity kind of, we need to figure out what's going on. Why is this happening? They pretty much solved everything pretty quick. I'd say within the first half hour, they're like, oh yeah, okay. There were some flashes on the phone. Bradley, all these people were hypnotized. Okay. Oh, and it turns out it's the leader. So like they solved all of this stuff right away. There was no mystery to solve. It was just like, how do we get from one action set piece to the next action set piece? It seemed like that was the goal after that point.
And I honestly, looking back at the marketing and the trailers and everything, I almost think they did a disservice by showing us the Red Hulk.
Yeah.
A little bit.
He was for so little. Yeah.
Well, just the fact that if we didn't see any of that, I bet they did it for a big opening weekend. Knowing he's in there, a lot of people saw it. If we would have went in there not knowing he was, Thunderbolt was going to turn into him, and all of a sudden that scene comes up, he's fighting him, I think we would have been a little more happy with the movie. Our scores might have went up a little bit because of that, but because we knew he was coming, it wasn't that big of a shock. It wasn't like, oh my God, they did it. We knew it was coming. And I think that almost hurt.
One thing that almost made my score go down was seeing that photograph of Harrison Ford with a mustache. Do not ever show that to me again. That was awful, and I am so glad they didn't have him have a Thunderbolt Ross mustache for the entirety of this movie. I'm sure somebody was like, all right, we're going to get a face sculpt. We're going to, create this. They probably looked at him like, take that off right now. This is not going to work.
But we'll show. See, I think they did it as a reason. Like, here, you people who think he should grow this mustache, this is why he didn't. I took it as, okay, yeah, cool. I thought, you know what I thought you were going to say? It would have been a higher score if you didn't have to see it with me. You were like,
oh. No, it looked bad. Like they showed that photograph so quick, and I'm like, ooh, no. Like, some people, it works. Harrison Ford is not one of them.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. I think they did a good job of, that moment, like they did. I know. Here's another thing I guess they did to mirror another movie. They did with Iron Man and the switch from Terrence Howard to Don Cheadle. They addressed it in the exact same manner. When he came in and said something, so I forgot what he said, but then Harrison Ford said, yeah, they told me to shave the mustache or lose the votes. And I was like, that's just another Iron Man moment. They kind of copied it. Like, yeah, I'm here, just get over it type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I made that one short.
Yep.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Well, what should we
It's like
talk?
poetry, it rhymes, Dave.
Dave, what did you watch next?
I watched Spider-Man next.
Gentlemen, are there any other thoughts on maybe what's next for Captain America or anything? I hope we see the leader again, and I hope he has a little better plan. Maybe douses himself in some more gamma radiation and gets the big head or something.
I'm not sure. This was pretty short. It was cut and dry. I mean, who knows? I guess we could see him reforming the Avengers or something. I don't really know. I'm not like this one was tough for me to think of any potential future theories or what's next. I just there wasn't enough to go off of for me.
Yeah, it's Captain America will return, but to do
Cool.
what? He'll probably
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he'll be in the Avengers movies, but you're gonna have to come up with a better idea than this, or a better executed idea than this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we do have Kevin Davis says Anthony Mackie still going to lead next to Avengers films, Doomsday and Secret Wars of Sam Wilson. Yes, that is true. We'll just see who he kind of puts together on his team. Sad to say, there's people going to show up and support Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four footsteps at the box office. Well, I think so. For one, I think Thunderbolts. We were talking about it when we did the Thunderbolts trailer breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
It's my most anticipated movie of this year. I think it looks great. I think it looked, based on trailers, it looked better than Brave New World. So I hope that's still true. I think it looked better than Fantastic Four, and I thought Fantastic Four looked great. Superman looked great too, but Thunderbolts, I don't know, it just feels like the old-time Marvel movies, popcorn flick. They got the jokes, and they got the action and stuff going on, and, we'll see, but I think I'm most excited still for Thunderbolts.
I think mine is Superman, but Thunderbolts looks like it's going to try, and they put all the good stuff in the trailer, and they look like they're going to try and do the James Gunn style, where they put together the team and then they all, you all kind of fall in love with them.
Yeah, they're all
I
sort
hope
of
they-
rejects. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope they can pull it off, but I don't know if they can. It takes a fine touch, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
No,
to
you're
get
right.
that right. So
Let's see. Kevin says Disney took out all the controversial things in this film. Audience would have boycotted this film even harder. Yeah, we did talk about how they changed Sabra's character and a lot of things. They, so many changes. It hampered the plot a bit, but it was still a good movie. I don't know if you saw it, Kevin. What your thoughts were on Brave New World, but we were all sort of 6s, 6.5s. Wasn't great. Wasn't terrible. Wasn't as bad as some people are making it out to be, and it did. I guess it did $92 million. They're expecting it to get $100 million over President's Day weekend. It did 200 and some million, or almost 300 million worldwide, I believe. So, it's making decent money. Now I don't know how much it needs to with all the reshoots. I don't know how much it needs to make to break even, but opening weekend 300 million worldwide, that's a pretty nice opening.
Agreed.
see how much it costs to make, because I did hear that with all the reshoots, it was over 400 million. I want to take a look at that.
That it had to make to break even.
That there was a cost of the movie. Yeah, without the what do they call that? The press tour.
The marketing and stuff.
Oh, without all the marketing and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. We know, and one of the things, the director came out and kind of said, we didn't do multiple reshoots. Basically, what happened, they were starting the reshoots, and then the writer strike happened, and so the reshoots got broken up and stuff. But this did seem like they.
It says that the reported production price tag is 180 million. So my 400 million was way off. I don't know where I heard that.
Oh, so man, it might have already made money.
Yeah.
Well, good for it. It's a good film. I do think out of all of and I think I said this on, I don't know if we said it on a thing, but it is the worst Captain America movie that came out. But it's not bad. I mean, First Avenger I loved. Winter Soldier is one of the best MCU movies. And Civil War was phenomenal. I do think this movie would have done better if we, like some of the reports early on, that the Hulk was going to be in it, She-Hulk, maybe Bucky. Almost make this like Civil War and make it a mini Avengers movie. You know, bring a lot of characters into it because, you know, this is Sam Wilson's first movie as Captain America. Give him some buddies help. You know, Steve Rogers definitely benefited from Civil War with Iron Man and Spider-Man and everybody else. You know, they could have done that a little bit in here. It would have made more sense to have, you know, the Hulk fighting the Red Hulk a little bit.
That would have been cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would have done a lot better. I think it would have made more sense, but hopefully we get that at another time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, gentlemen. Are you ready to talk your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man?
I am. Are you, Dave?
I am. And what if his last name is Spider-Man and he's just, you know... That's a friend's joke, sorry.
It's actually Ronald Peters Spiderman the third. Esquire.
Esquire.
That's right, I'm also a lawyer.
That's right.
Called Spiderman and Spiderman. If you've been hit by a car.
If you've been hit by a web or a billy club, were you an innocent bystander in a superhero fight? Well, come to us.
Did a superpowered rhino cause you harm?
Contact PP Spiderman.
Esquire.
Esquire.
Now, speaking of lawyers, we got Daredevil in episode 6.
We
Duel
did.
with the Devil.
Not enough.
Yes. Oh my God. I loved
Needed
your
more
theory
Daredevil.
so much, Doug, that he was going to get involved because the Kingpin was getting involved and all that. And while I liked seeing Daredevil kind of like getting in there and kind of, you know, investigating Norman Osborn and things he hears going on, have a little scuffle with Spider-Man, kind of making fun of him, like, you're really good at this fighting. He's like, you're not. And kind of teasing. And Spider-Man realizing this doesn't seem like a goon that Otto would send after us. He, you know, he seemed legit and stuff. Was great. But then he was gone. I don't know if we'll see him again this season. I really hope we do, and I hope Doug is right that if...
And it was Charlie Cox, right?
It was, yes. You know, if we get the Kingpin starting to get a little antsy in his city that, you know, we've got these weapons and stuff going on, that would be the right way to go, at least in my opinion. Even though I do think this show has been getting better with each episode, and really, to jump to the end, I won't talk about the end yet, but when episode 8 was over, I was like, I need episode 9 as soon as possible.
That was a cliffhanger. Yeah. I agree. Like, I went into this show, and I will say, it was a negative Nancy going into the show thinking, I'm not going to like it. This looks bad. I remember back when we were, you know, when they had first announced it as Spider-Man freshman year, I'm like, that looks stupid. I don't like the art. I'm never going to like this. It's a dumb show. Just give me back 90s Spider-Man. Curmudgeon. Rant, gobble, gobble.
Dumb. You big stupid dumb.
That's all I was. But oh my gosh, you were so right, Keith. With every episode, it's like I feel like the Grinch. My heart is beginning to grow to dangerously unhealthy sizes.
So the question is, what did you do with the signs you made? More like your friendly neighborhood stupid man.
Oh yeah, I forgot about those.
No. No, I was going to jump ahead. All right, I'll let you finish on this topic.
No, I was just going to say, then the first episode kind of ends with Harry and Nico kind of, you know, hanging out because they were all hanging out together and they're kind of coming closer together a little bit. You know, she finds out about Peter's big secret from Harry because, you know, how kids do. Oh, do you know his big secret? Well, of course I know his big secret. I know everything.
Right.
And it's like, he's what?
Spider-Man, he's a lawyer.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't understand this whole getting to know Harry Osborn and showing their friend. He's supposed to show up out of nowhere. They're supposed to say that they're friends and they go way back, and then he becomes a Green Goblin. Everybody knows that's how you do it.
That's only in the Amazing Universe, my friend.
Now here's a
No,
question, because I think I've
But
switched on this. Do you think we're going to see the Green Goblin in season 1?
I do.
I don't
Yeah, I do
anymore.
too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think they're building up right now, and it's going to, because they're taking their time with these things. They are not rushing anything in this plot.
Mm-mm.
You know, they're fast tracking Lonnie a little bit, and we did see at the end of this episode, you know, Lonnie being chased by Matt Gargan's lieutenant and followed, and she finds the hideout. But they're not really rushing anything. And as much as you see Norman's dark side and you see that he is what he's going to become, I don't think they're going to do it this season. I'm like, they're going to hold it off till like season 2. He's going to have a little more time with him, disagreeing with him, and, you know, finding reasons to try to get away from him before I think we see the Green Goblin. I think this is going to be about Otto and the Scorpion and the Chameleon, and they're going to keep it to that, and they're going to hold off Green Goblin until season 2. But I hope
That'll
I'm
be a
wrong.
bigger betrayal for Peter. That'll be a bigger betrayal because they'll be so close, and that'll happen to be. Oh my God, I can't believe you did that. You know. And,
I have a what's next about that.
okay.
So you remember from Homecoming where, you know, at this point, Iron Man is Spider-Man's mentor. He's the one who gave him the suit. He's kind of training him or whatever. He's teaching him the ropes more or less. But what he does after the whole ship fiasco, he tells him, you know, if you're nothing without the suit, then you don't deserve the suit. I think, because we also got a Norman Osborn to utter the infamous, you know, with great power line, a twisted version of it, no less. But I foresee him also uttering a twisted version of that line. But I think it's going to come out if you can't do this without me, then we're done, or then you don't deserve to work with me, or something like that. And I think that's what's going to make Peter eventually revert back to one of his earlier suits or design his own and have to rely on his own mind instead of, you know, getting gear from Norman Osborn. But I think it's going to be a situation similar to what happened with Tony Stark, but it's not going to be because Peter didn't save people. I think it's going to be because Peter didn't, like, follow orders or
Do
something.
you think it could be? Because he keeps saying, you've got to use your powers. Quit holding back. They're not holding
Yes,
back.
yes.
And it could be him saying, you're still holding back. You don't deserve this suit if you're going to hold back. I could,
Something
I
like
could
that,
see
yeah.
that. I think you're right, Douglas.
I do foresee something like that going down because you kind of hit the nail on the head. They're giving the slow burn with Norman, and we're seeing him slowly, you know, show his true colors, and he's becoming a little bit more. We're seeing more of his dark side. He's not like evil yet, but we can see that he's the alternate Tony Stark. He's the alternate Uncle Ben. He's everything. He stands for everything that Spider-Man doesn't. He wants him to use his full power and be like the superior Spider-Man.
And, you know, the whole, when he said with great power, you get great respect or whatever, that just shows.
Yeah.
And that's not what comes with great power. You know,
Right.
that's.
My mouth kind of dropped open for a minute. I'm like, he did not.
But it shows, you know, they're doing the right thing. Even though we all know he turns into the Green Goblin, it's not going to be a big twist. But showing that subtly with Peter and the things he does and he says, you know, Dave, you're right. You know, we're going to see how big of a betrayal it is when Lonnie, you know, breaks bad. Think when Norman becomes a Green Goblin. That's going to, it's like everyone that Peter trusts early on and was friends with is turning into the villains in his story. And the writers are doing a great job of setting that up. Even though we all know what's coming, I'm still looking forward to seeing it.
Actually, I'm pretty excited about something. So we all know what's coming. How much you want to bet? There's got to be a handful of people out there, or a good number of people out there that this is their first dive into Spider-Man. This is their first introduction to learning about these characters. They might not know who Norman Osborn is or what he's all about and everything. They may have some vague awareness or idea of Spider-Man's backstory, like, oh, okay, yeah, he's bitten by a spider. He does whatever a spider can. Sure, I get it. But once they see that, like, Norman totally Breaking Bad, that might actually take some people by surprise. They're like, oh, no, he's supposed to be Peter's mentor.
You think it's getting a little bit character dense this early in the series?
No,
It's
an animated series.
Boss. Yeah, how many future, villains have they shown already? And they can't develop all these characters in one season. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't know how many seasons they're planning on having, but they've got so many in there already. You know what I mean? It's getting a little to me, I think it's worrisome that Marvel has done this in the past, where they try and put too many characters in a movie and they can't hit it. That's not easy to do. You put too many characters in, you don't give them enough time, and you wonder why they're even there.
That's fair.
I mean, I don't think that can be the case, but I think they're doing a pretty good job with introducing a lot of these characters. I mean, they look almost like they're going to be one and done, but we know better. We know, Dimitri's the chameleon. We know the Rhino is coming. Obviously, Otto has been introduced, and we've got, the unicorn.
Right,
And we've
that's
got,
what I mean.
but it all seems very organic to me. It doesn't seem like they're rushing it. Just, it's not like all of a sudden you just see Quentin Beck, walking by in the background, like winking at the camera, like, I'll see you guys later.
That's
And-
gonna be
I don't mean
next
they're
episode.
I don't mean they're rushing it. I mean, they got so many characters that they're not going to be able to give enough time, is what I mean.
Well, I understand what you're
not-
saying, but they do have 3 seasons that's been greenlit already, and it seems like they have a plan on how they want to do this. So, I mean, I understand. You could be absolutely right.
Yep.
Absolutely.
But I do think with how this writing team is going about these seasons, they have everything marked, saying, okay, we're going to introduce this here, and we're going to deal with him here, and this is going to happen here, and we're going to see, they may even be able to build to a Sinister Six and have it seem organic and not just rush like a Sony thing. So, you almost get these little side characters that we know are going to be bigger down the line. And hopefully they handle it right, because they are introducing a ton of freaking Spider-Man villains and rogues and everything else. And then in the second episode, we see one of them come to life in his new gamma-powered Scorpion outfit.
Oh yeah. I think maybe I'm giving this a little more leeway, the fact that it's an animated series. I know that shouldn't matter, but I hadn't even considered, like, when David brought up, they are introducing a lot of characters. Normally, that would have been a worry for me as well. The fact that we've already seen, Rhino and Unicorn and Scorpion and Tombstone and Green Goblin potentially, and like all these. It does seem like a lot when you put it on paper, but I guess because, and I'm not saying this disparagingly, but because it's a cartoon, I guess I'm like used to them doing that. That seems so normal to me that, most of these animated superhero show, it's villain of the week kind of thing. And while they're not exactly doing that, like they're showing the pre-incarnations of a lot of these characters. Like we're seeing a lot of them before they become what they will become. We're seeing regular Norman Osborn. We haven't totally seen Doc Ock be Doc Ock yet. Like we've seen his arms, we haven't seen them attached to him yet. So it's like we're seeing all of the original incarnations of these characters before they become the supervillain versions of themselves. And so it's a little bit different. They're still doing kind of villain of the week. Like we're seeing all these new villains showing up in each episode, but they're not really going away. They're just like, they're showing up, waving at the camera, and then we'll see you in a week or two.
Oh yeah, or
Maybe
we'll
next
see you
season.
third season.
Yeah.
Because some you won't be able to develop until that far.
Yeah, pretty much. They have to like limit the development. Yeah.
That's why I'm like, how many seasons are they planning on? I mean, they got approved for 3, but how many did the writers think? We're gonna do like 6 seasons. You know what I mean?
I did think it was odd that they already chose to give Scorpion his super suit, though.
Not me. As soon as Matt Gargan stepped on, and as soon as they talked about him, I'm like, he's definitely getting his suit this season. Only because he's the type of guy that fits into Lonnie's story. Definitely is going to be one. I expected him to blow up the thing with Lonnie in it, and some chemicals they had stored there was going to turn.
I thought the same thing. I was waiting. I'm like, he's going to become Tombstone now. Like, I'm sitting here waiting for somebody's demise. Like, oh boy.
Well, I gotta tell you, Doug. I did like the animation more these 3 episodes.
It's growing on me.
I
still don't like Doc Ock's glasses. Those bug me. That's not the. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I don't like them.
Okay.
But when we see Spider-Man at the end of this episode 7, Scorpion Rising, he feels pretty confident. He ties, Scorpion up, and he's all stuck up in webs, and he's like, okay, another thing down, and then, he obviously breaks out, and Peter's out of web fluid, and he ends up, getting the crap beat out of him, getting the scorpion tail, like, punctured into his chest, and Norman has to send the Goblin Glider. I was like, oh my God. When they showed that, I'm like, oh, I cannot wait to see.
It's about to go down.
Yeah. I hope
that was the only reason I said, when you asked if we would see the Green Goblin this season, that's the only reason I said yes, because he already has that. And, maybe at the end of the season, he thinks he's going to be doing good. He's going to be like, I'm better than Spider-Man. And then you'll see a brief glimpse of him. That's what I was thinking.
Well, I agree with you on the fact when he does turn into the Green Goblin, it'll be because he's like, Peter's too weak to do what needs to be done. I will do it myself.
Do you think they're going to use the ultimate storyline where Norman uses Peter's blood to develop his serum?
Well, the fact that they took his blood when they were fixing him made me think that exact thing. I'm like, oh, here we go. They're going the route of the Ultimate Spider, the comics.
Yeah.
Not the show that was on Disney. Yes. I as soon as they took his blood when they brought him into, I'm like,
that was my initial thought. I'm like,
happening.
oh, okay, I see how this is going to happen. All right. Which, fun fact, well, depending on what you consider fun, the 90s Spider-Man, that was how Morbius got his powers. Was by Peter's blood.
oh, that's right.
Oh, that's how Craven got his power. Oh.
He was bit by a lion that may have somehow been bit by a spider. I don't know. Forget it.
It was a mythical lion who roamed the prairies. I hope that this show brings Craven in at some point just to
rub it in Sony's face, like, look, it can be done better and animated.
I was thinking more just wash away the bad taste of that Craven movie from our, even though it wasn't terrible.
I was going to ask, is this in any way owned by Sony? Because it is Spider-Man. No?
Sony has the movie rights to Spider-Man, not the television rights to him.
Nice.
That's why we get all the Spider-Man cartoons on Disney XD or whatever it's called, and now Disney Plus. Yep.
I wonder if Sony could, not that I'm suggesting they do this, but I'm wondering if Sony could get away with creating a Spider-Man animated series, but just calling it a made-for-TV movie. Broken up into several parts. I wonder what the legal loophole would be for that.
That's a good question.
Not that I want them to do that, but I'm sure somebody has considered it. Like,
they probably. We need to know the exact limits of. They're probably trying to do that before, they basically worked with Sony to get the right to Spider-Man in the MCU. They're probably like, let's just do a Spider-Man Disney Plus show. By the way, was anyone pretty shocked to see Iron Man make a little cameo in this to capture
that's
Doc
part
Ock?
of, and Ross, Thunderbolt Ross also there. That's what I was mentioning too, because Doc Ock only gave up because Spider-Man, because Iron Man was there. Called it the big guns. And I was thinking, okay, so how is Iron Man going to somehow parallel what he did in Civil War, like they're doing with Norman Osborn? What role is he going to play, in this series, if anything? But I hope he does.
Well, and I wonder.
Well, it seems like he's still sticking to the same sort of Tony Stark. He's for the Sokovia Accords. He was on the side of Thunderbolt Ross.
Well, how is he going to treat Spider-Man? Is he going to see him at all?
I think he will see him. And I
Yeah.
do think because he is kind of obeying the Sokovian Accords through Norman, I think they'll be fine. But I think there may be a split, or Iron Man may be the one that sort of shows Peter, hey, this guy you're working for is not a good guy. Or my initial thought when we saw episode 6, I was like, Daredevil's going to be the one that sort of teaches him, hey, this guy you're working for is not the guy you think he is. And that's where they could split. But there's a lot of paths they're taking that someone will be the person that, Peter.
Come on, Keith. You got to do it more Tony like. Kid, Osborn sucks. He's a hack. Okay, bye. I'm way smarter than him.
I gotta speak to you in language you'll understand.
Or are you gonna be my mentor? Ooh, no.
Yo, man, Norm is totally sus, dude. All right, I'm out.
Seriously, Norman Osborn, Ohio Riz.
Total skippity Ohio Riz. Unbelievable.
Did you get that, Pete? Did you pick that up?
Did you pick up what I'm dropping?
I am looking forward to Coleman being the Green Goblin. I want to see his portrayal because it'll be hard to beat William Dafoe in how he did it. You know what I mean?
Willem.
That's why I said William Dafoe. Thank you.
You put some respect on his name, Keith.
You know what? He's never going to come on our show now that you're pronouncing his name wrong.
Yeah, I know. Why do you keep saying?
We're never going to get Rianne Johnson on here either.
If
Ryan
it makes
Johnson,
you makes you feel any better, I don't know, whether you knew this or not, but now, Keith, you are in the same category as Jimmy Kimmel, who also pronounced Willem Dafoe's name wrong. Yay!
I'm in good company. But I do it just to bother Dave. So Willem, if you're out there watching, I only do it to annoy this fine gentleman below me because it aggravates him.
That's not true.
But, I mean, it's almost like being the Joker after Heath Ledger. Playing the Green Goblin after William Dafoe. I mean, his portrayal, he was awesome in Spider-Man back, the Raimi Spider-Man movie. But then he was...
nice they did it thrice.
Yeah, he was so good in No Way Home. He was perfection on the Green Goblin. So now we got that next one. Unfortunately, we got Jared Leto as the Joker after Heath Ledger. He was the one who, tried to take it on. Did terrible. So it'll be interesting to see his take on it, see where he goes with it, because he's going to have his own take on it. We'll see how it goes. Is he going to be, completely insane? Is he going to, be a little more cool and commanding? We'll have to see.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in order to get that groovy laugh, he's going to have to go off the edge a little bit.
That is true. He can't be,
Don't you have a groovy laugh, guy?
The Goblin serum definitely kind of, makes him a few tacos short of a combo platter, if you know what I'm saying.
Goofy.
Oh, then, to finish off this episode, the Tangled Web, episode 8, the last one we got, Peter goes over to Pearl's house to work an assignment. Lonnie shows up and kind of has it out. Peter tries to stop him from going over there. I thought they did a good job of, Pearl finding out from the brother where Lonnie is and Spider-Man all going there. Like, all of them showing up there made sense. Like, why they're there, their motivations. It was all played out. The plot really did a good job of getting them all there. So when the Scorpion attacks, it's much more than just, hey, it's the Scorpion versus these gangbangers. We got Lonnie there, who's friend of Peter, who only is there to get his brother out of it. Pearl, who's there trying to save Lonnie, and then Peter Parker, Spider-Man there to try to save it all. I thought that episode just came together really nicely. And then, shockingly, Spider-Man, which once again, he's new at this. I'm glad they did what he did. It was almost like in the first season of The Mandalorian and stuff when he was losing fights and he wasn't always the toughest guy on the planet. They're building up to that. And you see Spider-Man, he's going to be learning with each time, fighting Daredevil, losing to the Scorpion and realizing that, he's got to do better because there's so many people that depend on him. Just was so good. And then
Actually, could you slip into tangent when you're done with your sentence there? Could you slip into tangent time, because I do have something to tack onto that.
Oh yeah. Boom, we're in tangent time, sir.
So I just watched a video essay that kind of discussed the same idea of why you don't want to have your protagonist, be this overpowered super being. While the whole power fantasy can be fun at first, it really only works if you're going to do it in like a short burst. Like if you only plan on this being a couple of episodes at most, maybe one season, and then that's it. You open the story, he's got all the powers, he's got everything figured out. Okay, it's great. We could see him just like winning the day, shooting his web, jumping around, beating all the villains, no problem. And it's awesome because in some of these stories where you've got these big power fantasies, it's cool to just shut your brain off and watch somebody just blow up everything and be the superhero. But for a character that needs to have a little bit more long-standing, needs to be able to exist in something that's going to last longer than a couple of episodes, you really do need to show that they are vulnerable. You can't out the gate, they're level 100, they have all their skills.
Yeah, you know what show was really good at that? Smallville.
I was waiting for that. Yeah,
And-
so...
You know what other shows did it too?
What?
Hawkeye. See him get beat up and injured.
Yes. Oh my God.
And-
especially after seeing Black Widow, it was so nice to see.
And shameless plug for a show coming out in less than a month, Daredevil on Netflix. I mean, you saw Matt Murdock get beaten up a lot, and it works. You got to learn to be there. You're not going to put on a suit and just be the toughest guy out there all the time. So it's good to see them take a beating and learn from it.
Also Invincible,
Yeah. Oh,
which we'll be talking about a little bit later. But
yeah.
yeah, so I was watching this video essay. It was basically talking about how it's becoming a trope at this point where a lot of anime are doing it, where you're not seeing a character learn and grow over the course of multiple episodes or seasons or whatever. Instead, you're seeing them right out the gate. They've got some super cheat skill or whatever. They've got something that nobody else has, and immediately episode 2 they can use an atomic explosion spell or something. It's like, oh, I mean, that's kind of cool, but like now you're telling me, oh, it's been renewed for season 2, but what else can you do at that point? Like, there's no more character growth. You done growing your character. So I am glad we can move out of tangent. I am glad that they are taking their time with Spider-Man, that they are showing him. I mentioned this in one of our earlier episode reviews, where I said I like the idea that we're seeing his, like, the precursor to all of his costumes. We're seeing, like, these tanks and how he's putting things together with garbage, and it's something that we don't get to see enough of. We didn't even really get to see that much in the comics. We've seen him build the web shooters, but never as rudimentary as this, and I really like it because it shows A, he's resourceful because he has to be, he doesn't have a lot of money, but B, he's smart. He's intelligent enough to say, this might be somebody's trash, but for me, it's going to be a piece to my superhero costume.
In one of the scenes I really enjoyed too, in episode 8, was when like he breaks down to May.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's so flustered. Norman's telling him, hey, you better step up or our partnership is over. You better, do this and stuff. And, Nico's mad at him because he kept a secret. He feels like he's letting down Norman, even though he'll realize Norman's not so great. He got, trashed by Scorpion. He's injured. All this stuff going on. He just has that breakdown with May. And I thought that was such a nice, scene to throw in there. They are doing. I didn't expect them to fully do the Spider-Man origin and all this stuff, just because the character's been around so long. But they're handling it in a way that makes it fun to see again. It's not just like, oh, here we go again. They're doing it. And I was just, man, I felt so bad. And of course, Aunt May's like, hey, I know what you're going through since your Uncle Ben passed. All this stuff been going on for me too, and we need to do this. And I was like, God, thank you, for not feeling like it all has to be all out action. It's not, the Rhino and the Scorpion crushing through walls, and Spider-Man fighting them all the time. We get these, moments with Peter and his aunt where, hits the feels quite a bit, as the kids like to say.
Mm-hmm.
The human moments.
Yeah.
That we can all relate to.
Oh, I also like when May mentions different scene, but I like when May mentions that maybe they get rid of the sewing machine.
Yeah.
No. I still need that for projects, school projects. Yeah.
And that one of the things too, like the ending of this episode was just great. I also like the fact that the 110th Street gang is looking to get equipped too. This is a classic thing. Hey, you bring a knife to a fight, and I bring a gun. I'm bringing a bazooka next time. I'll bring a tank, and then I'll bring a. They're getting powered up, and this is going to be tough for Spider-Man to deal with heavily armed gangs. Fighting in the streets, because obviously we know that Spider-Man is getting that red and blue costume he designed. At this episode, we saw it in his glasses at the end of that episode. But, he's going to go after the Scorpion, and the 110th Streeters are looking to get a bunch of weapons. So there's going to be almost a gang war these last two episodes. Scorpion is super powered, so they have to get super powered up to be on his level. It's going to be bonkers, I think, the next two episodes.
And Don keeps calling them the 1/10, and I keep thinking of the fraction. Like, man, you're not doing yourself any favors saying the 1/10, dude. It's not scary.
Well, pretty soon there'll be the 10 over 10s. There'll be a 1.
Well, they'll be the 1. Because they'll bring 10 guys, but only one of them's going to fight,
Pretty soon they're going to be the Sinister Six. No.
I do think that would be a great way, like Dave was asking before, how many seasons do they want to have? We know they've been renewed for 3 seasons, but if they have like a 6-season arc, and in that 6th season, the Sinister Six form to take on Spider-Man, and then when Spider-Man defeats him, that ends the show, that would be phenomenal. I would really, build up to it, have it happen, have Spider-Man win, and then end the show. I think that would be fine. But if it's doing really well ratings-wise, Disney will probably want to get about 12 to 15 seasons of it. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
But there's enough, Spider-Man stories and stuff on the,
Oh yeah.
90 years he's been in comics to pull it. They're not, one of the things I like, even though we got the symbiote in the first episode, they're not rushing the Venom storyline. We're seeing Tombstone, we're seeing Doc Ock, we're seeing the Scorpion. They've already hinted at Chameleon and Rhino. So all these big guys, we haven't gotten into Quentin Beck, the Green Goblin, everybody else. There's so much that they can work with. It's going to be great seeing it all happen. And we get him in the red and blue suit next episode.
Yes.
Well,
I don't even, if I could add anything onto that, I think I could go straight into our rating. What do you think?
I was just going to ask if you guys want to rate these 3 episodes.
Well, the first night I tried to watch these, I actually fell asleep. I think it was after the movie Thursday night. And so I really regretted that. But I didn't regret having to watch it over again to catch the whole thing. These 3 episodes, I'm going to just put them all together. I think they outdo the first 2. I think I gave the first 2 a 7. And so for the reasons we've discussed, I don't even know if I can expand anymore on them. I'm going to give it a 7.5 this week for all 3 episodes. It's building, and it's too bad there's only 2 episodes left. But I think they can hold. I think they can keep it up. It's been a good show. I do like the anime more and more every animation. Sorry, more and more every week. I didn't like it at first, but now it seems like it flows a little better. So maybe I just need to pay attention more. But yes, 7.5 would be my rating, sir.
Excellent, excellent. I think the way they're writing all of these episodes, things are flowing nicely, things make sense. I'm enjoying watching. I don't look at my phone at all while this show's on. I mean, they're doing such a good job. Love the intro. Love all the things about it. Like all these characters have been introduced. I forgot to mention, Dr. Connors turning into the lizard at some point. We've met Dr. Connors, but they're not rushing to get that out there. They're really, I think, doing a great job of telling a good story with this Spider-Man. And I think it benefits from not being a part of the MCU. It's its own timeline. They can do whatever they want. And like Dave was saying last week, it's like a what if Norman Osborn was Peter's, mentor to Tony Stark.
What good?
Yeah. Yeah. It's been great. I mean, I don't think any of us were too thrilled about this coming out. I mean, animation didn't look great, and Disney has not done well on their Spider-Man animated series. And I think we all wanted Spider-Man 98 more than this, but they've done a wonderful job. And I'm going to give episodes 6, 7, and 8 an 8.5. I mean, this is building up to something that I think is going to be really special. I hope they don't let us down next week with 9 and 10. But I think it's going to be phenomenal, fantastic. It'll be an absolute treat to watch.
I think that counts. So I don't know that there's too much more that I can add. You guys have both pretty much said exactly how I feel about about the series as a whole. I was very hesitant to get into it at first. It really wasn't, a thing that I was like, I wasn't really looking forward to it. I didn't think it was going to be that good. And I think part of me was because the other Disney Spider-Man animated series also have not been very good. Ultimate Spider-Man, it got a few chuckles out of me every now and again, but it just wasn't that great. I never really got into it. The next one that they had made, I think that it was just called Spider-Man or something.
Yeah, Marvel's Spider-Man.
Not great.
Nope.
It was not good. It was very bad. And I'd say the animation, that was probably worse than this. But this, when they were showing the previews, I'm like, oh, they're going over... I really thought they were going to go style over substance. That they were just like, we want to make this so it looks like the comics. And I was like, I really wish I wouldn't do that. This just isn't going to be good. But I've been proven wrong. I've been enjoying it. The stories are great. I love the sort of slow build. I agree with Dave. They are introducing a lot of characters, but it isn't bothering me. Again, like I said, I think I'm giving it a lot of leeway because it is an animated series, and I'm just so used to them doing that, where it's not that big of a deal to me. But I do like the fact that they're not just showing them in their costumes right away. We're getting to know who they are as people and what drives them to seek out this gear and to escalate or to bring on, I think as Doctor Strange put it in Infinity War, a new type of war. Or however he said it. He said it better in the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah. I do really like this, and I love the twisted mentorship that we've got going on between Peter and Norman. I think it is an amazing way to show, and I'm loving the parallels. Every single time they do a parallel to show, this is what would have been going on in the MCU when they showed us Civil War without Spider-Man being part of it. When they showed, they talk about the Sokovia Accords, when we get to see Iron Man landing, and that he is still someone that the other villains are like, oh, okay, yeah, I can't fight against him. That's the big guns right there. I don't mess with him.
That's an Avenger.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's an Avenger. I got on the Avengers radar. In fact, I think they even mentioned that in Homecoming. They're like, you cannot be shooting off these weapons. We don't need to be getting on the Avengers radar. And it's the same for this. So I love the fact that it's not really in the main timeline of the MCU, so it's able to do its own thing and kind of get a little weird with it. Also introduce characters that haven't been in there. We never really saw in the Spider-Man home movies. We got minor references to Ben, but I don't know if he even really exists in those movies. I don't know if Aunt May was ever married. They haven't really been super clear about it.
He did have his luggage in Far From
The
Home.
luggage, right? But that's what I'm saying. It was like just minor references,
Yeah.
and I almost wonder if they were just like a little Easter egg, like wink and a nod. Oh, you'll get this if you know that, you know. So I'm not sure. They're being more straightforward with it in this series, and I love, like I said, I love the slow buildup of all the villains. I love the fact that we're getting to know a lot of them. We're seeing their motivations. And I love, love, love the fact that we are watching Peter grow and learn. And he's a kid. He's still a kid. So the fact that he's falling for a lot of the stuff that Norman is saying, it's going to be interesting to see how that affects him. Is he going to, are we going to hear, somebody give him better advice to counter what Norman is saying, or is he going to take it too far? There's so much more that this series can do, and now I kind of understand. I didn't understand at first, but now I get why this has already been renewed for a second and third season. And I'm looking forward to it. So I'm going to give this an 8. These episodes were good. The last two especially, as I mentioned in our chat with each other, they blew me away, and that was a heck of a cliffhanger. And I wish that it wouldn't have just cut off like that, because I'm like, oh, so I have to wait till next week now. I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
we don't have enough to watch between now and then.
I know.
Well, and it's funny too, because they sent out the entire first season as screeners. They don't do that all the time, and I was like, okay, they must think they got something special on their hands, because they're willing to show the whole first season. We know on our favorite Disney Plus show, Special Investigation, they only sent out like the first 2 episodes. And, they do that a lot. Now, it's not always a bad thing. They only send out the first 2. They don't want spoilers making, how people can be. I mean, there was Batman Brave New World spoilers on the internet Thursday night. People taking pictures in the theater and posting it to social media. But the fact that they were willing to show this whole season, I was like, okay. They're not afraid of spoilers, and 2, they really think they got something great here. So far, seems they're right. I mean, renewing it for season 3, I still haven't seen any ratings for how well it's doing on there. We know Skeleton Crew never made a dent in the Nielsen's, and I wonder if this show is, or how much this show is costing to produce. It's usually a little cheaper to make an animated series than it is a live action. So we'll have to see how that all pans out. But I hope we don't have to wait too long. I hope they don't Invincible us, and we have to wait too long between season 1 and season 2.
Oh, God. It's not just Invincible, but yeah, but look at The Boys. When's the last time we saw The Boys?
That's true.
2022? Has it been 3 seasons? 3 years? Is it coming out this year?
It's I think it's coming out this year. Or is it 2026?
I don't know. I'll look it up, but
or is Gen Z coming out in 2026 and The Boys this year? I can't remember now, but it's really everything. House of the Dragon takes way too long between seasons. Everything seems to. It's good and bad. One, they're not rushing seasons, but they should get them out a little quicker because people lose interest. You forget what the heck happened in the first couple.
Not only that, if you should not get a single filler episode in any series now. If they're gonna do that, should be no filler at all.
And if it appears to be a filler, it's not, and it'll come evident later on or something. You're right. They have no reason. They're not saying we got to crank out 22 episodes a year. They're like, hey, 8 episodes. You can give us a season every 3 years. They'll better be.
Yeah. Those better be high quality episodes.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying.
I agree. All right. I think we're done with your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Should we talk Invincible?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. We got episode 4. You Were My Hero. And we see some of the fallout from episode 3 at the end with that thing. You know, Mark asks Robot to analyze the drone. You know, can't really. Robot's like, hey, it's from Earth, but it's so advanced, I can't tell you anything more. It's too damaged. Which, of course.
And then he utters the line, it would take a lot of resources to make this.
Yes. And we get Mark confronting Cecil, thinking it was him watching him.
Again.
Just totally. I'm glad we see the Animen. Just so Mark has something to beat the living crap out of, so he's not, like, you know, killing humans or whatever. But, you know, Cecil tells him, hey, that's not us. It's definitely not us, you know. And then, of course, you know, Donald's like, but we are spying on him. Yeah, but not with that.
Right.
Well, he even said, if we were going to spy on you, you would never know it.
Yep.
Yeah, I would believe that too.
It's almost like this was a Trojan horse in a way, where it was intentionally put there for him to see, to get him to, you know, lose it and end up going after Cecil.
I didn't think about that, but you could be right. I mean, it definitely, I would expect, I can't think of his name now, but the multiversal Ed or whatever his name is, would be a little better than that. But yeah, could have. And it definitely did it. He went after Cecil, but he seems to have calmed down a little bit. And then he finally gets to go on a date with Eve, only to be interrupted by Fightmaster and Dropkick.
But you know what the beauty of it was? The beauty of it was that he never well, we'll find out by the end of the show, he never actually missed the second with her.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. Because he came back the exact time he left.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's time travel, baby.
Gotta love it. And I like that they just grabbed him and brought him. Like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing King Immortal on the head of Earth. Now, I think the most important things that we learned out of this episode was one, that Mark, well, has a family, left, put King Immortal in charge, but he also mentioned the sickness. Hey, you're not sick anymore. Or are you sick again? You're looking kind of thin, because obviously he's a much younger Mark than this King Immortal is used to. And I was like, such a good job of setting up future storylines. You know, it is, things are coming, let's say. And this just hinted at it just enough. It didn't, like, you know, nudge you, like, hey, you guys pay attention to this line, because this is going to be an arc coming up. But it was well played how they set that all up. And then, of course, you know.
That's supposed to be like 200 years in the future, though?
Yes.
So that's a lot of time.
Oh, yeah.
He only mentioned a couple things.
Well, because we don't know how long Mark
Omni-Man
has been
mentioned
gone.
that Viltrumites live a very long time. He said that to Mark, like, I don't know why you love these people. They're all going to die, and you'll go on living.
Much like Oliver, you know, his species was short-lived. And, you know, Omni-Man probably thought they were all below him, too. Even though Omni-Man's not a normal Viltrumite in the sense that, you know, we saw when he was getting beaten up in the Alan the Alien episode
The
of
better
this.
part of the episode.
Yeah,
Yeah,
true.
definitely.
You know, we see, well, before we go, I like Mark rips his head off, and he's just like, you better keep those apart, or he'll just, you know, reform or whatever.
Yeah, he'll just come back.
Oh, you know, I didn't hate this first part, but it felt fillery to me.
Yes.
And the only thing that I thought of as I'm watching this is Justice League Unlimited did it better.
You know what I was thinking? I was thinking they have so many plot lines going right now. Why have this kind of filler episode or half episode at all? They got so many other things they could cover, and then they go with this. and which doesn't seem to feed into the story. Like, well, Keith said, they're planting seeds or whatever, but that's 200 years down the road, you know. So why waste time on it? Why don't we just go more into the Angstrom? Why don't we go more into Angstrom?
The only thing that I can think of, and I still think they could have done it better. Have either of you seen that show Solar Opposites?
Yes.
I've seen some of it, but not much.
So one of the things that they constantly do is they'll every now and again they'll do an episode where they're going to go into what they call the wall, and you'll get to see the wall people, or in the latest season, the backyard. And it's like, it feels like a totally different show. And a lot of people have said, actually, I kind of prefer that part of the episode better. And so whenever they do it, it's like the most minor setup. It's like the aliens, they're off to go do something, and they're in there for like 5 minutes tops, and then the rest of the episode is what's going on at the wall.
Yep.
I think the way this could have worked better is if we would have just seen the teen team, like, you know, trying to get settled in, and it was like just 5 minutes of them bickering and trying to figure out what they were going to do. But then in the other part of the galaxy, then the rest of the episode should have been dedicated to Omni-Man and Alan and Beastmaster, or whatever he's called.
Oh, what is his name?
Something with Beast in the title.
Oh, God.
Omni Beast?
No, it's... Oh, my gosh. Why can't I remember?
We talked about it last week, and then
Right? But, yeah, no, I think that
you promised
this had
me
potential to be
Viltrumites.
better than what it was. You know, it was fine.
The
But
the opening half. You know what I was thinking while I'm watching it?
What?
Oh, this is Invincible's Days of Future Past.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right.
You know what I thought? X-Men 97. That one episode with half the episode was really...
I didn't even think of that. Yeah,
Oh yeah, the
You're kinda
Nintendo
right.
one,
yes.
and it's Battle Beast.
Oh, that was garbage. And they should have spent more time on Storm.
What? Build the Beast?
Battle Beast, not Build a Beast.
Look at a little teddy bear.
I feel like Beastmaster is a better name, but whatever.
Wait
Yeah,
wait until Build-A-Bear gets Invincible stuff in. I want Battle Beast. Can I get the blood on his fangs?
I want to hug you to death.
Just so you know, Build-A-Bear,
Definitely.
if you come up with it, it was our idea first. We need a little kickback.
Definitely the best part of that episode, though. Yeah, as soon as like that narrator started going, and we got to the good part, you know, and I thought that was going to be a small little part at the end, and I paused it for a second. I'm like, oh, that's like half the episode.
When they ran the credits, I was like, I had to look for a minute. I'm like, I was short.
I did the same
Right.
thing. I paused it. It was like, okay, wait, there's still like 30 minutes left. Okay, there's something's coming.
Right.
Now,
Also, just a real quick question that I want to pose to you two gentlemen. What is the deal with the show? Like, they are not afraid to show the most bloody, gory violence, but the minute anyone has adult time, you know, they have to make stupid jokes about it. And now, back to Mark and Eve as they're enjoying each other's company. Like, decided to do it.
Right.
Come on.
that's a good
they're
question.
screwed.
Because they
Let's go.
swear constantly, and yeah,
Right.
they don't want to, you know, the animation isn't exactly super.
Yeah. They don't know how to draw that.
Yes.
So-
They're just like, we're going to stay away from that because,
The animators don't know what a naked woman looks like. They haven't seen one yet.
Harsh. Oh, don't let them watch the show. Don't let whoever wrote the show, the animators don't watch this show.
Looking at their art. I'm sorry, what is that? Oh, that's Eve's balls. A note.
You want to take notes? I got some notes.
you know, the one thing I will say about Omni-Man's change here too, we've kind of seen it. You know, they didn't rush Omni-Man all of a sudden being like, okay, like saying he missed his wife and, you know, having kids with lesser species, as the Viltrumites say. He's kind of been on the border, and how he felt guilty and felt bad, like he let his people down. But he did befriend Alan. They were kind of
Oh, yeah.
Even though he was grumpy, he was the Harrison Ford on set of Invincible. You know, when he saw Alan, Alan took a big chance letting that Viltrumite, kind of get on and be beating the crap out of him to make sure that Nolan sort of sees it and comes out. Like, he thought that's what he was doing, but that could have turned bad. And it'll be interesting to see, because the big news, we talked about the little tidbits they left in the future when he talked about him being sick and being off planet with his family and all that stuff. Nolan gave the big bomb. There is only 50 pure-blooded Viltrumites left. So they can do this, because having not read the Invincible comics, the thought that was always bugging me in the back of my head watching the show is, how are they going to stop the Viltrumites when they come? I mean, when Nyssa comes, she beats the crap out of Mark, and no one can really stop her. And we know something worse is coming, according to her, which I think we've seen pictures of the guy. He might have been in the trailer, too, I think, at one point. They can't stop him. How are they going to stop an army of Viltrumites? Well,
Right.
we now
and
have that
when
answer.
King Freddie Mercury shows up.
Yeah, that's who I was talking about. So they're doing a good job of, I had that doubt in my head, the Viltrumites don't want anyone to know the truth, because then people will want to rise up against them. So, for the longest time, I'm like, I couldn't fathom how they were going to finish this show, because there's no way they'd be able to beat an army of Viltrumites. But now, knowing that their numbers are dwindling, they don't have that many, makes me think, okay, as soon as this word starts to spread throughout the galaxy, more societies will join the coalition of planets against the Viltrumites, and it's going to, make more sense why they feel good doing that and why they'll eventually beat them. So I thought that was a huge tell at the end of that episode.
Not to mention, also what's left of the planet of Viltrumites, they're mostly just the dumb brutes who happen to be stronger than everybody else. So it's like, yeah, they've got the technology from all the nerds that they beat up and killed, but but I don't think they know how to make more of it.
Yeah, if it breaks, they're screwed.
Well, it's like
I don't know how
if
to
you
get any more unobtainium.
well, if you think back to season 1, you remember Nolan had to threaten to wipe out that whole planet of the aliens to get them to send him back.
Yeah.
Build a machine to send him back. He probably couldn't have done that. I doubt any other Viltrumite current Viltrumite has the smarts. They've got the brawn to threaten people, but I don't think they have the smarts to work their way to, technology-wise.
You're right. They definitely, with great power, you get great respect. That's
Right.
That's what the Viltrumites know.
Well, it kind of applies to almost everything that we're reviewing tonight.
I just can't wait. After we got our Days of Future Past, I can't wait for the Dark Phoenix saga in Invincible. I can't wait to see,
Will you stop with that?
I won't stop, never.
Won't stop, can't stop.
Well, gents, should we rate episode 4 of Invincible?
Sure.
Well, for the reasons I said, that the half episode seemed like filler to me, that's really going to hurt it, because I really like the alien part, and Seth Rogen, he's amazing in this role. Who knew he would be such a great voice actor? But I like his character, and it was the most interesting part of the show. I really didn't like the 200. It seemed pointless to go that 200 years into the future for me. And they continue with the awesome naming of characters. What were those guys who stole the Declaration?
That was Fightmaster and Dropkick.
Yeah, I mean,
Dumb.
spent no time at all thinking of those names. Did those guys?
Now, do you know who played both of those characters?
No, who did?
The guy who played Blue Beetle in Blue Beetle movie.
You played them
Xylo.
both?
What?
You played them both?
Yeah, he was both of them.
Well, they're twins.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, no, they're not. I was thinking of Duplipete or whatever his name is, Multipete,
Multi-Paul.
Multi-Paul, whatever. He's stupid. Okay.
But since they took half the episode off, in my opinion, that's going to hurt my rating. But since I like the other part so well, it's still not going to get a 7 for me. I'll give it a 6.5 this week. Looking forward to more. When I first pulled it up, it doesn't normally on the menu. It doesn't show you how many more episodes are coming. So when I first pulled it up and it was on episode 4, I'm like, I got to watch 5 episodes right now?
Yeah, they have that coming soon graphic, and the ones
Yeah.
that they never did that before. I was freaked out by it too. When I went to watch the first 3 episodes, I was like, oh my God, all 10 episodes are out? Then I'm like, wait, hold on. It says coming soon. Those dirty, rotten scoundrels.
I was like, no way, no. Oh, okay. But anyway, yeah, 6.5, your turn, whoever wants it.
So I'm going to be the negative Nancy this time. Again, like you, I don't think they should have split it like that, where we have this first half that's very much a filler episode. And like I said, I think what hurts it even more is the fact that I've seen other shows do this storyline better. I saw in Justice League the Animated Series where Superman goes to the future and sees a Vandal Savage, basically dealing with his own madness because he wiped out the world and he's the king of nothing now. And the storyline was told much better. This felt kind of half-assed and put together, like just because they needed an excuse to. It's like, this show is called Invincible, so we have to show Invincible doing something. It's like they couldn't bring themselves to be like, we can do the show called Invincible and have an entire storyline dealing with Alan the alien. And I don't know why. I don't know why they weren't confident enough to do that, because I think this would have been better just spending time, and my rating would have been higher also, just spending time doing the last half of this episode. And I would have enjoyed it a lot more, because the last half of this episode was pretty darn good. Was it good enough to save the whole thing? No, unfortunately not. And so I'm actually going to give it a lower score than Dave. It's only a 6 for me. It could have been a lot better. It had potential to be better. It's just, I've seen this done better before. In fact, I've seen this own show do better before. And while I enjoyed the last half, I really enjoyed, seeing Alan basically confirming that he's possibly stronger than these Viltrumites. It was fun. I enjoyed it. But I didn't enjoy it enough to make it worth, to cover for the whole episode. And that's not fair to it. Like, the whole episode needs to stand for all of its parts. I can't give it a high score just because I liked the second half. So, it's a 6 for me. Do better.
I couldn't agree with you guys more. That first half, while they gave us some little tidbits, it felt like the worst episode of Invincible we've got. Like, nothing was clicking. I didn't really care about Fightmaster or Dropkick. I didn't care about their future. Like I said, I was thinking, oh, wow, this is their Days of Future Past.
Oh, but the ink from the Declaration of Independence, nobody cares.
Yeah. The King Immortal saying, I knew if I treated these people this way, you would come back and stop me. I was like, okay, whatever. I don't care. I was really, like when it ended, I thought we were going to get an hour of this. So when it did end, and I was like, that was quick, and I paused it, and I'm like, well, we still got a bunch of time. I wonder what they're going to do. We did get the better half of the episode. And my only complaint on the second half of the episode, I thought it was really good, like Battle Beast. Like, I'm going to kill you if you don't give me, you promised me some Viltrumites, and I was promised battle. That's like his only thing he cares about. He was going to fight Alan the alien until, oh, wait, there's the Viltrumites. Okay, now I can take it out on them. And, they're fighting in the thing. They used all these super lasers and fire and everything against Alan the alien, and he just withstood it all. Then they're shooting him with his little laser guns. He's like, ouch, ouch, and he's hiding. Like, why are these little laser guns hurting him, but those giant lasers did little damage? I was like, that makes no sense to me. It didn't bother me too long. I thought about it, and I was like, okay, good. Suspend my, disbelief here or whatever for a bit. But I think this is going to be one of those rare times that Dave gives us the highest score it got. Because I think this is probably a 5.5 or a 5.8. Like, the first half of this episode.
Being bad.
I know. Well, when I was watching the first half, I was like, this might be the first time I give Invincible a lower than 5 score. The only thing that brought it up above average was the second half.
Yeah.
And, you know, it wasn't enough. I was like, okay, that great. They did something. I'm glad we're getting this. I'm glad we're finally seeing, you know, Nolan kind of freed from the prison. They had been doing that a little too much. And now they're out, and we got the, you know, the wonderful morsel that, oh, don't worry, they're not coming here to check this out. There's, you know, less than 50 pure blood, you know, Viltrumites left, so we have a chance. I was like, okay, cool. But I mean, overall, like, I got done watching this episode. Normally I'm like, oh, I may need to make sure I watch it again before our stream and catch some stuff. I was like, oh no, I don't have enough time to rewatch it. Darn it. Because it was. The first half was, just the first half alone was probably going to be about a 4 for me. And it's hard, like Doug said, it's hard to justify raising the score too much just because the second half was, you know, good. It's crazy. Okay, we got from Kaheen, kind of unrelated, but what if we got an Invincible series shoe deal? What if we had Adam Eve shoe deal from Converse? I would totally buy, or a pair of Jordans modeled after Mark's costume. I have to admit, I would buy those too.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, I would too, but also because I think it was like Reebok or something. I don't remember. Maybe it was Nike. Somebody did like a mashup with Ghostbusters, and even though it had a whole bunch of like nonsense that is absolutely stupid to put on a shoe, like a bunch of tubes and wires and everything like that. What did I say the word?
You did.
Yep.
Oh. But yeah, they looked cool, and for a half a second, I'm like, they weren't so expensive. I would buy these absolutely useless shoes that I would never wear out. But yeah, same thing with these.
Like $399 a pair.
Oh, now we're. I mean, seriously, they look stupid but cool at the same time, especially if you're like a big old nerd that likes stupid, useless, cool-looking things.
I think you just described every nerd. But unfortunately, I don't think this show is mainstream enough to really get a shoe deal. It's a little too violent. Like my son, I won't let him watch it because of the violence and stuff.
It's a family picture.
Oh, Kaheen says, I think it might happen if the show becomes popular enough. It already is popular. Yeah, it is. I just worry about shoe company saying, we don't want to really put these things because of how violent your show is. Because, you know, there'd be mom groups and everything else saying, hey, this is not right. You know, stop selling shoes to my kids. So they'll watch the show or read the comics, which kids definitely should not be doing. But I would buy them. I would get me a Rexplode pair of shoes and probably a Monster Girl pair. Battle Beast.
The Battle Beast pair of shoes is just like covered in fur. And then you wear them out for the first time as a rainstorm. It's like, oh.
Maybe get a pair of Invincible. Who knows? You know, maybe. Who knows?
The Invincible pair of shoes are just constantly covered in blood.
Yeah. Get my daughter the Adam Eve shoes. That'd be cool. Dave would get a Bulletproof or
Such a good movie.
I don't think that's what Keith meant.
Yeah.
I know, but what was the name of that Vin Diesel movie? Oh, I was wrong. It was Bloodshot or something.
Yeah, Bloodshot.
Oh God, right.
My joke doesn't.
Wasn't that the last movie we saw before the pandemic?
It was.
Yes.
Wow.
I could not believe what I heard the next day. That I heard that like the NBA was canceling the rest of the season. I was like, what's going on?
What do you mean? We're allowed to work from home now every day. Yay!
Okay, sounds good to me.
Jeez.
And you're still doing it 6 years later, or 5 years later.
Heck, company sold the building they owned because everyone's remote now, so we don't need it. And I feel bad because the company that bought it, I found out, all their workers were remote, and now they're buying a building and making them all come into work.
Oh, that is
Oh
weak.
man.
Did you hear that Zoom is making all their employees go back to work?
No, are they really?
Yes.
No, that doesn't make sense. Come on, Zoom.
I know. That's the irony. It's beautiful.
The only thing that's making me not say we should get rid of Zoom at the company is I don't want to have to use Microsoft Teams, because Microsoft
Ugh.
Teams is god awful. The worst. Maybe not the worst, but Zoom kills it.
So, no, I'll ask later.
Well, on that,
Air.
yeah, I think it's getting a little late. Should we find somebody to raid, gentlemen?
I can't believe we made it through all three of our topics. I really thought we were going to have to go over.
We all stayed on focus. We all stayed, fairly focused,
On point.
and
Nice.
yeah, we did a good job.
What about? I got Kira, please.
Oh, they're cooking.
Just chatting.
MTG Nerd Girl is doing Dungeons and Dragons.
I would say T-Pain, but we know he doesn't like when we rate him with less than 300 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should do. Oh wait, MTG Nerd Girl, she's offline for me.
Oh. Maybe I
Mm.
need to refresh. Oh, okay. Yep.
Oh, and now
What
what?
about Mary Cherry?
Oh yeah, yeah, that might be good. The girl you were talking about too, Dave, is offline too now.
Yeah.
Kira, please.
Kelly.
Wow, that's weird.
There's not a lot of people on right now.
Yeah, there really
Everyone's
isn't.
Going off at 10 o'clock.
Almost, almost starting to wonder, should we had better luck on Monday. Almost wondering if should we.
No, we didn't do bad. We'll look at the numbers, but it is the day before President's Day, so
Ah,
Oh yeah, big day.
yeah,
Big day.
big day, right?
No, we don't even. Have
Well, I don't
one
see
right now,
Cherry thing in here.
Oh, wait, she didn't go offline too, did she?
Am I not following her as
Oh, maybe
not your
you're
status
not.
quo? Spell her username.
One sec, I will put it in the
Oh,
chat.
good idea, sir. Good.
Somebody named Ouroboros. Why not? Ouroboros? Isn't that the name of from Loki? You know, the snake.
Oh, it is, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I knew it was spelled funny.
Mm-hmm.
Funny. Funny.
Oh, did not allow you to rate it this time.
Oh, well, okay. Jeez, oh, Pete, we're not having luck
No,
here.
we are not.
Who did you mention, Dave?
Ouroboros.
Oro?
What do you
I'm not
spell
following
that
them.
name?
Yeah, I don't think I
There you
follow
go.
him either. How do you spell it, Dave?
Ouroboros.
Let's see. Oh, yay!
Yay!
The raid has been created. And for those of you over on YouTube, what Kermit wants to tell you down there is that rating is something we do on Twitch, where we send our viewers to another content creator that we enjoy, sharing the love a bit. And there is a kind of way to do it on YouTube, but they also have to be live at the same time we're live, and you got to set it up prior to the stream. So we're kind of working on all the kinks of that because we don't always know who's live before we go. But we will be back on Thursday night. We'll be talking about the season finale of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and then Sunday we will be talking Invincible episode 5 and anything else that pops up, rumors, hints. If trailers come up, we'll break it down, talk it all for you. But thanks everybody for coming out today, and we will see you all Thursday night. Thanks for being here.
Hey, fellow nerds, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of this stuff, make sure that you check out our Twitch stream. We try to do these live Sunday or Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Keep an eye on our social media to find out when you can join in live and chat with us during these live streams. Also, as usual, don't forget to check out our other social media. Add us at Twitter, comment down below, and we'll see you next time right here on Not Your Status Quo.